There was not a light, nothing to be seen. It was just darkness. The people walked around, and every time they had to move around, they had to feel themselves around. They learned to see with their fingers. They learned to see with their noses. But there were light. There were light that nobody could see. The old man, the grey eagle, had a box. And in that box he kept the magic. In that box he kept the light. A couple of years later, the old man became a grandfather. The little girl's name was Willow. And Willow grew up to be a strong girl with a lot of willpower and an infectious laughter. And she was the most precious to her grandfather. One day, Willow asked her grandfather, "Grandfather, please, can I look in your box? Can I please see the beautiful light?" And the grandfather, of course, couldn't say no to his grandchild. So he said, "A small, small peak. Small, small peak." So he took out the stars and he put it in his hand. He said, "Look, all those small dots of lights. Oh, they are beautiful," Willow said. "They are so beautiful. I would like to see them every day." "Maybe you can," thought the grandfather. "Just blow on my hand." And the stars filled the sky. And there were light. There were little lights, small dots of light all over the sky. And Willow started laughing. She started laughing because all of a sudden she could see. She could see small dots all over. A white band across the sky that illuminated everything. Just a little bit. A few years went by again, and Willow told her grandfather, "Please, grandfather, I would like to see a little bit more. You see, each night I wake up with terrible nightmares. Each time I go to bed, I'm afraid that I won't be able to see the light again." So he said, "Well, I have this light. It's a little bit pale, but I think if we put it after a couple of raccoons that runs up through the sky, maybe we can see it." So they tied the moon to a couple of raccoons, and the raccoons ran up in the sky, and the moon shone brightly, and then it came down again. And now the raccoons had to rest for a couple of days. And then they ran up to the sky again, and everything was bright and beautiful. Just a couple of months later, the little girl, now intrigued with light, said, "Grandfather, can't I see a little bit more? Can't I just open the box?" So she opened the box, and the sun fell out. The sun fell out on the stones. It rolled around and it hit the stones, and every time it hit the stones, there was flashes of magic. The grandfather quickly took the sun and put it back into the box. But the little girl had seen the flashes of magic. So she took 2 stones, she banged them together, and there was light. And the light fell on the grass, and the grass started to burn. the fire. They kept the fire small, but the light was there. The magic was right there. The fire started to spread. And they said, oh my God, how are we going to stop the fire? How are we going to stop the light? It's warm. It's burning us. What are we going to do? Now the old man had a friend, a big white bird, a raven. The big white bird had seen water. He picked up some water in his beak and he flew it over to the fire and he dropped it next to the fire. And the fire tried to eat the water, but it couldn't. Instead, the water helped the fire to be small. And they learned to use the fire. They learned to use the fire to cook food. Now they had the stars. They had the moon. They had the fire and fresh water. Life was good. But the little girl had seen the sun. And she longed so much to see the sun. So she told her grandfather again, please, grandfather, can't we put the sun up there? And he said, no, not a chance. Not a chance. You saw what it did to the stones. The magic poured out into the stones. We don't know what happens if we put the sun up there. Maybe the sun is just as warm as the fire. Maybe everything will burn if we put the sun up there. And Willow started to cry. She started to cry. Big tears rolled down her cheeks. It filled her mouth. It ran down over her chest. And she was sobbing silently. And her grandfather said, I must somehow stop this. I must somehow make my granddaughter, my beautiful granddaughter, happy again. She said, Willow, look, the stars. Look, the moon. And look, the fire that gives us food. But I want the sun. It was so beautiful when the sun was out. Then the raven said, maybe I can carry the sun. Maybe I can carry the sun for a little bit. Or at least pluck it down when it's too warm. So the raven took the sun in his beak. And it flew up, high up. But the sun was warm. The sun was hot. And before you know it, all the white feathers of the raven was black. Black as the night. And every day after that, the ravens pluck the sun out of the sky and hides it during the night. And almost every night the moon comes out, pulled by the raccoons over the sky. And each morning the raven lets the sun loose again to warm us and light our day. Thank you.